Hey, Sam.
Yes.
Want to hear a Star Wars joke?
Not really.
Oh. Okay, what about you, BB Nate?
If I let you tell it, will we actually start the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well then go ahead.
All right, here we go. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. How long was Anakin Skywalker evil?
I don't know. How long has Anakin Skywalker been evil?
Since the sixth grade.
Oh, good one.
No.
You know, all dad jokes are good in my book.
That was just a bad dad joke, though.
It was a sad joke.
Yeah.
All right, that was good. Can we get to the show now?
Yeah, absolutely. After these ads specifically chosen for you because good soldiers follow orders.
No.
This is Tatooine Sons.
A tribute to Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings.
And come on, give me something. Give me something.
Star Trek. Star Trek fans.
Okay.
Star Trek Into Darkness is the best Star Trek movie.
Live long and
Interesting.
prosper.
Yes. Thanks for checking out the show today. If you want some really cool merchandise, right? Real cool theme stuff in Marvel, Star Wars, or even maybe Star Trek stuff.
No, we don't have any.
We don't, but I bet you there's something out there.
Well, yeah, but we're trying to get them to buy from our store. So
Okay. Well, there's no Star Trek because Star Wars is still better, but
Not yet.
go to
at
our
least.
T Public store. The link's in the show notes. And go ahead and look around. We got T-shirts, mugs, pillows,
Phone cases.
blankets. Do we have
Blankets.
pop sockets?
no pop sockets. Maybe, but they have
That's a good idea.
masks if you want to wear a mask still.
Oh, yeah. You can get a mask. Just go ahead and check our T Public store. All of the proceeds from T Public is actually going to go to one child and help a child living in extreme poverty. So you get a really cool pop culture merchandise and you get to help a kid along the way.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody listen to it.
Then you got little flop James falling on his face. So, BB Nate, what do you think about the Michael Jordan 30 for 30, The Last Dance documentary?
It's a good documentary.
What do you think about basketball in the 80s and the 90s versus basketball
I
today?
can understand why you're so disappointed.
It's so
I
frustrating.
can understand why a lot of people are frustrated.
I just
and
can't even
disappointed.
watch the NBA anymore.
It's fun to watch this basketball and the other basketball. I'm like, it's 3.5 hours of just running back and forth.
Yeah, and anyway, I want to talk about it anyway because I'll get angry and then I want to be angry for the show. All right, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of this generation, and there's a story. It is written on our souls, and these myths speak to that story, and that is why we talk about Star Wars and Marvel and DC and Lord of the Rings and Sweet Tooth last week and comic books again. I mean, that's DC, I guess, but all those things, the different types of things. I'm David. I'm the dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Father.
Hi, Father. Hi, Father. Okay. I'm joined by a couple of awesome sons. How are you doing today, Sam?
I'm good.
Yeah. What are we talking about this week on your segment?
Loki.
Come
on. Of course. You know, I've got the Lord of the Rings themed soundtrack or theme song, so we got to talk Marvel. You know, it just makes sense.
Well, yeah, that's true. That has nothing to do with it. But anyway, you love Lord of the Rings. So anyway, Nate, what are you talking about this week?
I'm talking about the Batman Who Laughs miniseries, and there's just so much to talk about. This is going to be a 5 or so week series.
Yeah,
so.
we'll explain at BB Nate's segment. I'm of course talking about episode 7 of the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot. You know what? The first thing I tweeted when the show was over, we finished watching it this morning, was just not a filler. Was all I put out there.
Yeah.
There's no way anyone could accuse this episode of being a filler. So a lot to talk about on the Bad Batch. But before we do that, last weekend, last episode, BB Nate, you and I talked about Cruella. We hadn't seen it, but last weekend we took the whole family back. You and I saw it again. Sam, You got to see Cruella.
I did.
What'd you think?
I really did enjoy it. I thought it was fantastic. You guys definitely didn't overhype it or anything. Definitely exceeded my expectations. I went into it kind of like, I don't know. But once you guys talked highly of it, I had pretty good expectations, and it well exceeded it. It was a lot of fun. It was funny. It was a really interesting take on the character and the story. Funny enough, wasn't it like that evening we came back home?
We did.
And we watched 101 Dalmatians.
I fell asleep.
You fell asleep.
It is a boring movie.
You know, that is the thing with like old Disney and stuff. They let things breathe. There was like a whole 5-minute interval where there's these two dogs barking at each other.
Like it was 5 minutes.
It was 5 minutes of like dog Morse code.
And that wasn't even it. There was a 10-minute segment with that 5-minute segment in it of just dogs barking.
Yeah. It was very different, but Cruella was very good.
Was that might have been why I fell asleep, because I woke up and nothing had happened in the movie. So,
right. That could be a 30-minute movie, probably.
yeah.
Could be one of those like short movies that they'd used to
What
do.
was your favorite moment in Cruella?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I don't really have I guess a favorite moment. I mean, it was interesting, like the almost Ocean's 11-esque like heists that they were doing in between stuff. And honestly, the costumes were really amazing. If they don't get an Oscar for that, I don't know.
Or at least a nomination.
At least.
BB Nate, second time through, what'd you think?
I thought it was good. I still don't get why people are comparing it to Joker.
Yeah.
In the least
Yeah,
bit.
I didn't get that at all either.
But I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. And
that's cool.
I'm excited for the sequel, you know?
Yeah. And today we got tickets to the Black Widow premiere. We're going to Pensacola in IMAX.
Did anybody else think about how this is going to be our first MCU movie in IMAX?
Is it really?
The first MCU we've seen in IMAX, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Really? We've just done like Big D and stuff, huh?
That'll
Big
be fun.
D or Dolby Cinema or something.
Feels like I've been waiting to buy tickets to this thing for way over a year.
Right?
Did we already get tickets
No,
and
not
then they
this one.
delayed? Okay.
Not this one.
We did that with Bond and Quiet Place.
Yeah.
That's right.
We caught a couple episodes of Sweet Tooth. What'd you guys think of the start of that?
You know, again, surprisingly good. I was a little confused and wary at first going into it, but it turned out to have a really
You hadn't even
interesting
seen a trailer or anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
It had a really interesting story and premise to it. I
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. What'd you think, BB?
Yeah, I really liked it. I liked how the first episode was a lot of setup, but the second episode really got into what the series is going to be. I love Big Man.
And I love how they like make fun of, or not make fun of, but like reference real world stuff. I mean, it's set after a pandemic. There's no way they couldn't reference.
You don't
COVID
put
and
a
stuff.
sign in there of 6 foot social
keep 6 feet
distancing, and this scene where they're eating a meal and some people are wearing masks and everybody's kind of like, can we take these off? Like that kind of stuff. So it felt
charming.
It felt like.
What did you think, Dad?
I like it a lot. I really want to watch more of it this weekend when we have some time with that. We haven't had time all week because of pop culture trivia. I normally have my 2 nights, but then I got called in to do a third night this week. We had a lot of fun with that. So
those are always a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are.
Even though we have no idea what most
Mom
of the
came
questions
last
are.
night.
She
that was
did.
the first time that she got to go. I think she had a really good time, don't you guys?
She did, and she carried the team.
She did.
I don't know. There were a lot of
was
questions.
mad though because she's like, before I would ask a question and she would look at me from across the table. She doesn't know the answers, of course. I'm not going to let you guys cheat.
None of us know that.
With it. But she'd be like, you know the answer and you don't even have to look, don't you? Because that's like
he
my
has,
thing,
like,
right?
Just useless knowledge.
I'm like, yep, I absolutely know the answer. And she was getting angry because she knew that if I was like playing instead of hosting, we would be getting all these answers right. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll keep doing that next week as well. So it's a lot of fun. All right, let's talk about Bad Batch. I mean, this one had a ton of Easter eggs and callbacks to other Star Wars stories. But Battle Scars took that to a completely different level in this one. Did you catch that deep dive into Black Spire Outpost from Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah, that was cool.
Episode 7 felt like a fitting wrap up of the introduction to this series. Lots of questions were answered, and with those answers came a lot of new ones.
Wokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
I'm missing going to Galaxy's Galaxy's Edge.
Me too.
Yeah, LJ Souter. We met him at Celebration in Chicago. We met him again we originally met him in Orlando at that. Big fan of the show. Love the guy and his family. They're there right now. And he's tweeting all these photos about Galaxy's Edge and Hondo Anaka on Smuggler's Run and all this. And I'm just like, I want to be at Galaxy's
Distance
Edge.
makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway. All right. So, Bad Batch episode 7, the Battle Scars episode. What were your initial thoughts on this? I'll start with you, BB Nate.
Frustrating and disappointing.
Disappointing?
No. I'm just
anything but disappointing.
I didn't want them to go there with Wrecker. While I always knew it was going to happen, I didn't want them to take that last step into, making him actually follow through with his chip. But I said it like last week. I'm like, when they find Rex, they're going to get the chips out. Well, and I was
We'll talk about that in a second. What were your initial thoughts, Sam?
It felt really short. I don't know if it felt like that to anybody else.
It's longer. It was longer than most of the last episodes.
Really, it felt like it was short. I mean, it moved from one thing to another so fast. Not complaining in any way. It's just it felt like a lot happened in a really short time. But the episode was really good. It definitely kind of, I think it put a lot of fans at ease now that they've kind of fixed some stuff. Now we're not worrying about that time bomb.
Well, yeah, we'll come to that in a second. We were teasing in the teaser, which is where you do those things.
Yeah, the teaser.
You tease in the teaser section usually. That there were some Easter eggs in this. I mean, the first one is obviously Braca.
That was so
Jedi
cool.
Fallen Order.
I was wondering if we were going to see a small Cal Kestis, and I was wondering if they
don't give you Han Solo and Corellia last week, they're not giving you Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with the whole Order 66 thing and him being a Jedi, I was wondering if they were going to go there for a little bit.
It didn't seem like there was enough of a mining presence on the planet.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting take.
It would have.
If Wrecker is dealing, and if you're listening to this, I hope you've watched the episode. So, if Wrecker's, has his inhibitor chip kick in and there's other people around, working on the ships like they do in Jedi Fallen Order, and there's Cal there, that would have been an interesting thing, but I'm not sure that would have fit with Jedi Fallen Order because it's kind of like he's been hiding this the whole time.
Yeah. He doesn't, he literally went suppressed his Jedi senses and stuff up until Fallen Order.
Of course, when it comes to the really, really obscure Galaxy's Edge reference on
Funny
that.
thing is right as I saw him, that's
I knew it looked familiar.
That's the popcorn mix that you can get.
We never were
They never had it for sale when we were there.
Because of COVID and stuff.
Because of COVID.
Hopefully that opens soon.
Yeah.
I don't care about the shows and all that. I want the popcorn.
Yeah, I think it's open.
I think it's a spicy sweet mix, which
I don't care.
sounds good.
I would try it. But that was cool to see that. And they used that as another layer of
Bonding
the relationship
moment.
between Wrecker and
that was a low blow, Dave.
Omega. It was it was kind of a scary moment there. And let's talk about this. I broke it up differently this week into two different segments, really: questions answered and then new questions. So when we're dealing with it, there were some questions that went into this series that I think we've got answered, or into this episode that we had answered in this. The first one being, who were the Martez sisters working with? At the end of the last episode, we see this hologram, this corner, this shadowy figure. You only see his arm. I mean, lots of funny speculation about that. I think that we kind of all landed on it being Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I first was like, it's Rex, and then I kind of dismissed it, that's too crazy of an idea.
Apparently, you should have gone with your gut.
I should have gone with my gut,
Nate.
always.
What was it like for us to see Rex again in this series and
Funny.
Clone Wars Season 8.
Yeah.
No, but I think it was fitting.
It was funny when we first saw the hooded figure in the bar. Sammy's like, it's Saw. And I'm like, no, it's Rex. And you're like, no, I think it's Saw Gerrera. And then it's revealed that it's Rex. I'm like, I told you.
Yeah, I got spoiled on Twitter. Somebody posted Bad Batch hashtag and then had a picture of Rex with, I think, in the bar there, and I was like, well, I guess Rex is coming, but I didn't let you guys know that. So
I'm just curious, why would you do that?
Why would you
tweet that out? It comes out.
Yeah, some people are like that.
It's weird.
Not us. I mean, we do weird ones like for Loki, I did a spoilers without context post.
Oh, those are great.
And it was just DB Cooper's picture. So, that's fine. But anyway, it was fun to see Rex. how did you feel like the interaction was when you saw him? Did you kind of know where this story was going to be going? Did you know it was going to be heading towards an inhibitor chip placement?
No. I'm still kind of confused as to why he showed up. Like, I originally thought he like had a mission for the guys, right? And then he found out that they didn't have their inhibitor chips removed, right? And he's like, y'all need to fix this now. They get it fixed, and then he's like, all right, I'll see y'all later.
Okay.
Why was he there?
Okay, Nate, any
probably
thoughts?
because, well, touching on what Sam said, probably because he's heard of this rogue. He said he heard of this rogue clone group going around, and he wanted to check up on it.
The answer is the end of episode 6. The Martez sisters tell
that's also true.
him about the Bad Batch, and he's got a relationship with them. He's trying to figure out why they've gone rogue, and he doesn't know. He's going to figure it all out. It's during that when he finds out in just sort of some weird passing conversation.
It was a headache.
Oh, that's right. Wrecker had a headache,
and he was like, "I've seen that before."
That's right. He saw it, and it was Fives, wasn't it?
It was Fives, and it was him because they're both resisting it.
Right. So, then that moment got really intense.
Yeah,
it did. He was ready to
Rex pulls out his gun. He's ready to start shooting. And it's because he's like, I know you guys can't control yourselves if this thing kicks in.
Because he tried.
Exactly. Yeah. And what did you feel like that was a lot of foreshadowing that something was coming in this episode once you saw that happening?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But honestly, if Wrecker were going to have the issue that he did in this episode, honestly, this was like the best way for them to do it. I think it wasn't like during the middle of some important mission where if him going rogue is going to like literally like jeopardize everything. The way they did it was a little bit more controlled, I guess, but still just as stressful.
It was pretty clear that they were going to get those inhibitor chips out. You guys have been waiting for this moment. They've been building the tracking device and all. And now with the information that we get from Rex and the urgency that you get from Rex in this episode, it's time to make it happen. Then they go to Braca. Did you understand when they show Braca and you realize that that's where you're at? That the reason they were going to Braca, did that make sense to you pretty quickly?
Yeah, right as I saw this ship graveyard, I'm like, they're going to a medical bay.
I
because
got that vibe.
Rex knows that will work because it's what worked for him. So,
I was watching Star Wars Explained this week. They do a live show the day of with like a StreamYard with some guests and things. And Pete Fletcher was on there a few weeks ago. We've never been invited on there because we're, not cool enough. But anyway, they had a guest on last week that says, I think that Rex is going to show up. They're going to go to Braca because they're going to need to find one of the Venator class ships in order to get those, to use the med bay to get it out. And I'm like,
get an early screening
and
or
this
something?
was like exactly what was happening in the show. So I was like, dang, mad props to that guy that he figured that all out. It's beautiful.
What are the next coming up lottery numbers?
I know.
Do you have
man.
an idea?
Yeah, he's a prophet or something with that. So we got the inhibitor chips out, but before we did that, things did not go. Was there a moment where you almost were clinging on to this false hope that Wrecker's going to lie down in the med bay? They're going to go ahead and take it out. And it's going to all be okay.
No. Yeah, no.
I was really hoping that was the
I was
case.
hoping, but it wasn't going to happen. They had like 15 minutes left in the episode. How are they going to fill it up with surgery?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there was no chance they were ever going to go 4 or 5 episodes with him holding his head and having headaches to just take it out and then move on. They were going on that. It was a really interesting switch in Wrecker because Wrecker is, while he is the Hulk of this group, he's the big one, the strong one. He can lift, crazy stuff and all of that. He's also the softy.
He's the heart
of the group, and the relationship with Omega. And they obviously did that on purpose, to show that contrast. But when that inhibitor chip kicks in full tilt,
he's full soldier.
He's ready to kill. He is going after stuff.
And you said Hulk. That's a really good way to describe it. It's like the Hulk in Avengers when he got his mind controlled. That's exactly what happened to an extent.
He's going after it.
Yeah.
With it. That moment where he's hunting Omega, is that the most emotional moment so far of the series, or the most intense moment of the series so far?
Oh, by a long shot. I mean, they've been building this relationship up since, episode 1 almost, and him building the little cockpit and stuff or the little room for her and giving the tuka or whatever. Like, come on. So to see him switch like that definitely was tough to see.
Yeah. There's the moment there where it's at the pinnacle of this conflict. Wrecker it looks like he's going to leave the room. Omega's hiding. And then all of a sudden he grabs the thing she's hiding behind, moves it out of the way, and grabs the gun that she's using. Was there ever a thought that did you ever think Omega was going to end up shooting Wrecker at one point?
At one point I did.
Like for a split second, yeah. But I wasn't worried it was going to kill him.
No.
The dude's taking shots I was 4 different times
in the armor or something, at least to get him down.
Well, he grabs that gun from her and he turns it on her and he's ready. He's talking about treason and I'm going to kill you. You should be executed and all of that. And your mind is telling you in these scenes, there's no way that he is going to shoot Omega.
Right.
It's not going to happen. But the storytelling and the way that they did it there, it makes you almost suspend your logic and be like, is he getting ready to really shoot her? Because you wonder at that point. They take him out and they obviously they get the inhibitor chip out. He's back to being a softie again. I love the part about Omega not leaving his side with that.
Even though he hurt her.
Yeah.
Is there, let's move on to some new questions. Now that we've kind of answered the questions that were there that are coming from this. The question I have is, will things ever get back to normal? Or will this ever come back? I guess the right way to word it. Things seem to be back to normal between Omega and Wrecker. But do you think there could ever be a moment where there's a lack of trust or fear between the two of them, especially on Omega's part now because of what happened in this episode?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. The chip's removed. He won't ever do that again.
He won't do that again.
That wasn't him there.
And he apologized. So I think that.
Yeah. So I point a gun at you and I threatened to kill you. And then it's like, I'm sorry.
But they all know. And Rex made that very clear that it's not their choice.
Okay.
They had
no control.
mind
control. Yeah.
No control at all.
Okay. Let's go back to the beginning of the episode with some new questions. With this, the episode begins with them returning from a mission where they capture this creature and cute moment on the ship and all that.
And then Wrecker gets a headache.
He gets a headache. But in that process, we find out that they were just doing a mission for this crime syndicate or this group called the Rokai. Who are these Rokai? I don't think we've ever heard of them before.
Nope, that was the first time I've heard of it.
Are they going to come back into the story, or are we going to have some connections with that in the future?
We'll probably
it's in the crime syndicate that's being run by Maul, so we're going to see Maul. That's what it is.
We're probably going to hear about it from High Republic, and it's going to tie into that. It sounds like a group from the High Republic, like a spin-off from the Nihil. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we aren't really, unfortunately, we just have not been able to get into the High Republic stuff just because of time.
Yeah.
And things like that. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that they just throw in a new crime syndicate, with it. And maybe nothing, with that. Here's another question. Is Sid going to end up selling out the Bad Batch at some point?
I'm not liking new Sid. I'm not liking business Sid. Sid was fun, was a good fun character in the past few episodes, but now she's all business, and I'm like, I don't like that.
You think she could sell out the Bad Batch?
Probably at some point.
Okay.
I don't think
it would make
so.
sense.
I think she's actually going to end up becoming an unlikely ally in the end.
Interesting. We'll see which one of you are correct on that. Now, last episode, the question was who is the Martez sisters working with? But now it's who is, at the end of this episode, Rex is talking about people he's working with. Who do you think he's working with in this one?
Fulcrum. Ahsoka.
I don't think Ahsoka's taken on that role yet. This isn't long after Order 66.
I know it isn't, but I don't know who else he would be working
for.
Probably
Bail.
Bail? We're going to Bail again.
I know, but he's such an integral part of the rebellion and the start of the rebellion.
Yeah, I guess so.
It would make sense.
Any chance he's working with Kenobi?
There's a high likelihood of that. I feel it could be possible.
Loki. Wow. Obi-Wan, he's not in any rebellion. His job is to stay on Tatooine and watch Luke. He doesn't care what's going on outside the galaxy.
It feels like in this episode that Rex is all in connected with whatever this burgeon, starting of a rebellion is at this point, this insurgency or whatever we want to call it, right?
Yeah.
We talked about.
How does he end up where
when we get to Rebels, he's off on his own with Gregor and Wolf, and they're doing their own thing. Why does he go into hiding? Have you guys had any thoughts on how that?
No, I'm sure we'll get that answered at some point.
Yeah, we might see that in this series. Actually, that could be a good explanation.
I just have to say this. I'm loving how the Bad Batch is really going in deep with just the clones. Because, the Clone Wars, it dealt with the clones, but it had more Jedi than clones is what it felt like. So now I'm enjoying how we're seeing Rex and the fallout from the Bad Batch and everything. And I just wanted to say that I love the way they're taking this with just clones.
The who are the guys that spotted Rex and Hunter talking at the end?
They talk. They're like
this
guild,
Scrapper Guild. The Scrapper Guild. They obviously, Rex earlier on in the episode says they are reporting things to the Empire. They're working with the Empire,
right.
With that, so they see Rex, they see Hunter. They talk about reporting something to the Empire. Does that inevitably mean that we're getting Crosshair to finally come after Clone Force 99?
Yep. I just hope we get to see Crosshair, period. Who knows? Maybe we get his chip taken out and it's all,
because they know what it is now.
That's an interesting idea. What if they he hunts them down and finds them on Braca and they get that confrontation moment in there and then somehow stun him and get his chip out on Braca, and that's how they get that taken care of.
I hope they do that soon because I want Crosshair back in the team. He's too cool of a character to leave out.
Yeah, it feels the Bad Batch feels empty without.
It
Crosshair.
really does feel incomplete,
even though we only had 4 episodes with him.
So then maybe we end up getting the Bad Batch or Clone Force 99 going up against this elite stormtrooper group.
Ooh,
going forward in the series, but we've got a restored or repaired Crosshair.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. That would be interesting. We still don't have the answer to who Fennec Shand is working for.
Mm-mm.
They may not even bring that back in this series. They may have used that to set up something that we might see in another series.
Like Book of Boba Fett?
Like Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When will the Bad Batch choose a side? Well, it's a critical question because the last 2 episodes have sort of ended with that conversation.
Yeah, Hunter's I'm not sure what our place is yet. And Sid's kind of making them do some stuff they're not super comfortable with. I think it's got to be soon.
So it's either they choose Rex or Sid is what it feels like at this point.
Or choose the mercenary life or choose a life of purpose.
Yeah.
Is I think what they're being forced because they can't go to the evil. They can't go to the Empire. That won't happen with that.
It's like get executed for
and I think that's one of the major takeaways of this episode was that the Bad Batch is going to, at some point, they're going to have to choose a side. And I think that's a major plot point, them being forced to have to try to figure out what that side is and how they're going to do that. Are they going to be for themselves? Or are they going to be for a bigger purpose on that? Another key takeaway, I think, for this so far in the show and specifically this episode is just Omega is awesome. But I'm still concerned with, some battle scars for her because of the title of that episode coming back and sort of affecting her at some point. She's a little girl. And she was hunted down by her best friend. That would create problems in a real world scenario.
That's true.
So I'm curious to see how that going forward. And I think the third biggest takeaway, I'm now fully on board with you guys that the Crosshairs, they have established that the reason Crosshair has done what he's done in this series is because of the inhibitor chip.
Right.
Rex is like, I couldn't control myself. Wrecker, I can't control myself. Rex, get these chips out of there.
We know how dangerous they are.
Right. Stuff. Omega saying it was the inhibitor chip that made you do this, Wrecker, not anything else. Those types of things have established that there is a
this
path.
Isn't Crosshair.
There is a path for Crosshair to come back to the Bad Batch and be a part of the team again, with that. So, to me, it seems like the fun and games in the series are over. At this point,
supply runs are done.
The Empire knows where the Bad Batch are. I think it's certain, that Crosshair and his elite stormtroopers are headed to Braca. I don't know if the Bad Batch are going to be there when they get there, but I think that's where it's going. So that's, where things are at this point. So, we'll just have to wait to see until next week. I love being able to say that every week about Star Wars right now. All right, Sam, what do you got going?
Well, the time has come. I see what I did. Loki's dropped on Disney+.
And they get on me for dad jokes.
Yeah,
At least mine was good.
Yeah.
That's debatable.
Loki is dropped on Disney+, and as we always do, we're going to break down and discuss some of the interesting parts of this week's episode.
Yeah, and that's coming up after these ads specifically chosen for you because you're caught in a time loop and the TVA is coming after you. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's review time.
Yay.
Yay.
We have reviews, too.
Yeah, finally.
It's been a while, it feels
It
like.
has been a long time. And now there's a single place you can go to review us.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, super easy. I mean, we have a few right here from that. It's called podchaser.com, and it's been awesome to have all this feedback coming in. How about we read a few?
Yeah, we got
reviews?
one from John Dispenza. He actually has a really cool podcast about like microbrews and beer and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But he's also works with Podchaser. Interestingly,
Oh.
his name's John Dispenza, and his review is "I'm a 38-year-old Star Wars virgin," but this show is great. I love hearing all the different points of view. I think it's time to grab a light sword. I think he did that on purpose.
Yes.
And start battling the bad Jedi.
Totally trying to trigger us right now.
Yeah.
And he's almost getting away with it.
I know. Yeah.
This next one's from Chad. He said, awesome podcast of a dad and his two sons talking all things geek. Absolutely love BB Nate's segment where he tries to explain crazy DC comics and hearing Dad and Sam so confused.
Well, you're in for a treat this week, Chad.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, thank you guys and keep up the great work.
Yeah, and then we have one from Pete Fletcher or Around the Galaxy podcast.
Nice.
Thanks, Pete.
Tatooine Sons has been a favorite podcast of mine since I got into listening to Star Wars content. The fact that they have expanded into DC and Marvel and other franchises has elevated an already amazing show. The interplay between David and his sons is so endearing and creates a tight, entertaining 60 minutes that I never miss.
That was awesome. And here's the other thing that's really cool about Podchaser is you don't have to just do a review of the show. If you've already done the show review, you can actually go in and review individual episodes. We had a couple of those this week as well from Lockpicking Patrolman, awesome a Star Wars fan and follower of ours on Twitter. These guys are always on point and always have a great great insight into everything Star Wars. And then Kobe-Wan Kenobi 38 said, this was my first episode of theirs after discovering them through Twitter. I don't often listen to podcasts, but enjoyed this one. They seem pretty chill, and you obviously need to listen to more episodes if you think that, and discuss and theorize about topics I'm interested in. We'll definitely stick around for the next one. Thank you guys so much for those.
And as a way of saying thank you again for reviewing us, we will make a donation to one child in your honor, and your review will end up, it will help children living in extreme poverty.
Yeah, so if you want to review us as well and be a part of that, we're going to make a donation in your honor as well to help a child in extreme poverty. So thank you guys so much.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You're coming to us. Is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
It's like a new anime movie,
but it's a feature, and they were like fast tracking it to try to get it in. Is it going to go to theaters or what?
That's what they're rumoring. Yeah, theaters and streaming.
So we get some more. I guess it's appropriate that we can talk about a little Lord of the Rings. Since your intro, we were joking about that earlier. So yeah.
But let's get to what we're really talking about this week. Episode 1 of Loki.
So in the Omniverse, could Loki and Middle Earth match?
Yes.
Okay.
Loki could show up in the
wait, I'm totally confusing people that haven't listened to the show before. So.
Go back and listen to last week's episode to understand what the heck we're talking about. So yeah, let's talk about Glorious Purpose.
Yeah.
The show picks up right where we left off in Endgame. Funny enough,
or in Avengers 2012. Whichever one you like to choose.
Yeah. Funny enough, when he lands on that in the desert, that's like a direct mirror to the first Iron Man movie. Remember
I noticed that.
when he was in that prototype suit and he lands in the desert complete mirror of that.
Yeah.
But soon
The
after,
whole mask taking off thing as well.
right? Yeah. But soon after the TVA shows up, which they've got quite the impressive response time.
Well,
It's just-
when you live in an environment that time has no meaning, you can show up whenever you
true.
want.
And then they take Loki to their headquarters, and while Loki is being processed, we see a Skrull in the TVA headquarters, but not with any guards. So it's not like he was a variant. I
Oh,
don't
that's
think.
interesting.
Do you guys think there's any significance there?
I think scrolls are going to be huge in the future
Yes.
of it with
Secret
Secret War and
Secret
stuff. so-
Invasions. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that was
Secret Invasion, not Secret War. That's a completely different time. That's right.
but yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing there. Maybe it's like a DMV that you can just walk into if you have like questions or concerns. You can just go to the TVA and go to the front desk.
He's trying to get his skull shape-shifting permit.
Yeah, you're right. So then, when Loki is like a bit apprehensive about going through the time TSA machine, they talk about if he was a robot. This could actually be a reference to life model decoys, or LMDs, which are lifelike humanoid androids that are so good at blending in with humanity that they're often unsure as to their true nature. So that's why he's like, to your best knowledge, do you know if you're a robot?
Yeah, and I think that's like it reminds me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where that's a major plot point in that classic sci-fi story.
Okay, yeah, there were actually quite a few like movie callbacks and stuff. At one point, the ticket scene where he's like reaching his pockets, getting the ticket out real fast,
right? Because the person that lost their ticket got vaporized.
Pruned, yeah. That's like a mirror to Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Remember when they were on the Zeppelin? Or the
is that in Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No, it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
I think it's
Temple
of Doom. Remember when he like throws the guy out of the plane? He's he didn't have his ticket, and everybody pulls out their tickets.
Oh, that's right.
That's like a mirror to that. But later on during like the Jurassic Park like infomercial thing, I saw someone compare those two, and I'm like, that's a really good comparison. They talk about how there used to be multiple timelines warring with each other till the timekeepers came along. This could actually be a reference to Secret Wars.
There you go, Dad.
There we go.
There you go. See, I was waiting for you. Also, when Miss Minutes is talking about being late for work or waging a war, the depiction of the war shows the Kree and the Nova warring on Titan, Thanos' homeworld, actually.
Okay, can I just say this?
Yes.
Miss Minutes is better than Mr. DNA.
You better watch your words, mister.
Which one was Mr. DNA in?
Jurassic Park.
Oh, no, yeah. Miss Minutes is a lot better.
What?
I love Miss Minutes.
Y'all are all wrong.
The way it was like the off-color jokes before you like get punished for
She's
your
like,
crimes.
hi, and I'm about to kill you. That's
Okay, all right. You're right. So that it's interesting that they showed like these factions warring on Titan. That's another callback and stuff.
And they mentioned the multiverse just in passing, and then just forget about it. And that shows how big the multiverse is going to become.
Mm-hmm. And if we're seeing Thanos' homeworld and multiverse stuff and all of this, I mean, does this not at some point seem to connect a little bit to Internals?
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking at Loki and Eternals. It's tough to see where the two things overlap. And perhaps the Timekeepers are Celestials themselves. That could be a way.
That's the vibe I got. I guess,
that could be where how they connected. Also, Miss Minutes, she calls those branches in time a Nexus event. We've actually heard this before in WandaVision. One of the fake commercials mentions Nexus. It's like a product called Nexus. And later on in the series, Wanda is called a Nexus being capable of connecting dimensions. We're not sure what the difference between a Nexus event and a Nexus being are, but there's certainly a correlation there. That
maybe it's like somebody that can control Nexus events,
that can like cause Nexus events whenever they want. Yeah, it could be.
Do we understand what a Nexus event is, though?
A Nexus event is that point where there's that branch of time.
Loki did.
So what Loki taking the Tesseract is a Nexus event essentially. Perhaps Wanda's gonna maybe she goes back to find her kids and bring them through time, and she causes a Nexus event by doing that or something. So there's definitely, they don't mention that for no reason there.
Oh no.
Another interesting scene, though, is when Loki is on trial and he asks why the Avengers aren't being brought to the stand, right? They've been hopping through time more than Loki at this point. Ravonna Renslayer, the judge essentially, says that what the Avengers did was actually supposed to happen, which kind of answers a lot of the questions the fans have had, like, why is Loki getting in trouble for this, but the Avengers didn't? She explained that the timekeepers ordained this. Essentially, they're like, yeah, jumping through time isn't the problem. You can jump through time as much as you want, as long as the timekeepers are okay with it. Essentially, if it's like predetermined.
So what are they okay with?
Right.
Unless they create a Nexus event, is what it sounds like to me.
Right. A Nexus event is when someone goes against what the timekeepers
exactly.
Right. So what the Avengers did had no problems with that because the timekeepers like allowed it. Essentially, it was in line with what they want, which kind of raises some interesting, almost theological questions,
like God stuff. There,
like why did they even let Thanos get the Infinity Stones in the first place?
Because it probably had to go with growth of these characters and the Vision dying. Then we wouldn't have had Wanda become Scarlet Witch at that point. And there are a lot of big things that happen from Thanos being able to get the stones.
I think it comes down to these timekeepers. The conversation between Mobius and Loki. He basically says that they've seen the future. They know what's going to happen. So they let Thanos get this, knowing all of those millions of possible scenarios that, that Strange is going to play out. There's one that's going to actually save the day. They create that timeline. That's the official timeline.
But that wouldn't even
forward.
have to happen if Thanos didn't get the stones.
Yeah, it's
that classic theological question of why does God let bad things happen? It's things like that idea. I'm not saying that that's what this show is trying to answer or anything, but it does raise an interesting question.
Well, from a storytelling perspective, if you're looking at it as an author outside the story writing it, you let bad things happen in the story because it makes the story really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when I actually thought of something similar to that when I'm running that Star Wars campaign that we do. I let bad guys show up to create an interesting story. Essentially, it's not interesting without conflict. So, from a storytelling perspective, yes, it makes sense. But I just figured it was an interesting question. And then when Mobius is walking through the outside with Loki, and they're talking, they mention nightmares. There's a brief interchange, but this could be a reference to a villain in Doctor Strange comics. And you read a story where Nightmare was a villain.
Love this character so much.
The character is Nightmare.
You do realize that the big debate in WandaVision was not that it was going to be Mephisto, but it could be Mephisto or Nightmare.
Okay. Well, they mentioned nightmares in this. And then on that stick of gum.
They mentioned nightmares in WandaVision a lot too.
Okay. And on that stick of gum that the girl had, there's a little face on the side that looks a lot like the character his portrayal in the comics and stuff too.
So you're saying Mephisto's in this?
No, I'm saying they're setting up possible nightmare stuff. Although they did have that window with the devil, and I think that was supposed to be like a red herring for Mephisto, but it ended up being Loki.
So why I love this character so much, the Nightmare, is I read this YA book, Doctor Strange: The Fate of Dreams.
Okay,
fantastic book. Did not feel YA at all. It made all these people's nightmares become reality.
Okay,
and so Doctor Strange is trying to fix that. And right as I finished reading that, I'm like, that character is going to be the villain of the next Doctor Strange movie. And so I've always been kind of lobbying for it to happen.
It seems more like they're putting little Easter eggs.
And I heard Multiverse of Madness, and I'm like, we're getting closer.
Yeah, so cool. That's really cool that they're starting to drop those little hints there. And then there's that whole therapy / It's a Wonderful Life scene there.
I hadn't made that connection, but it's true.
I was doing some research and someone made that connection. I'm like, oh my gosh, it totally is. It's a Wonderful Life. Which it seems like each of these MCU shows have been about characters either needing to go to therapy or going to therapy in some way. Like Wanda, that all happened because she didn't get help for her problems. Then you got Bucky literally going to therapy, and now Loki getting prison sanctioned therapy, kind of. What's up with this?
It's just a PSA of therapy.
Why do you guys think
because all of us coming out of COVID need therapy,
right? And no, but for real though, why do you guys think they took this sort of approach to each of these shows?
It makes these characters feel more human, and I feel like that's what people are needing from the MCU, because it's all very grand, it's all very comic book-esque, and we haven't really had these down-to-earth moments understanding these characters very much. And so allowing this long format of shows allows you to breathe these characters and allows you to show that these characters have emotions and know what they're doing.
And that's been the beauty of these series so far. Even Loki, there was some flippin' emotional moments in this Loki. And those scenes that you're talking about, when he's realizing this is all I am.
Yeah. I mean, Mobius even mentions, like, you're just a way for, like, he shows the Avengers to become the best version of themselves. Yeah. Like, he's just a stepping stone.
And then he admits he doesn't like hurting people.
Yeah. It's like really emotional.
He doesn't enjoy being the villain.
He's like, I'm in control of my own destiny. I mean, it was really interesting, like real meaty stuff to it. Yeah. I love what they're doing with this show. We also finally got an explanation as to who D.B. Cooper is in real life. It was Loki all along. And, that was supposed to be a reference to Agatha.
Okay.
And it fell flat. Dad, what were your thoughts when you saw this? You're a pretty big history buff, so you
love the story of D.B. Cooper,
right? Yeah. What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we talked about it on the last episode that it was coming,
but it like happened in this episode.
I was surprised it happened as early as it did, and in the way that it did. I love the fact that it was a lost bet with Thor,
and Heimdall was in on it because he activated the Bifrost for him.
Well, but that goes back to the original Thor movie and the relationship that they had as brothers, and what's the name of the guy? The bridge Heimdall. Yeah, is how it's pronounced. Okay, I don't remember with it, but we've got to remember that this isn't that far after that.
No, not really.
This in the timeline. This is like right after Thor, the original Thor. That relationship is there. It's Thor Avengers, and this is happening as Avengers is finishing with it. And so that relationship is there, and it's it was fun to see that. It was fun to see the D.B. Cooper thing. It was a
fun explanation.
It was a great in Marvel Universe explanation for why they never found D.B. Cooper.
Omniverse explanation. Anyway, one very important scene later on is when Loki tries to find the Tesseract, right? He escapes the therapy session. And when he does, he finds the Infinity Stones. Like, a lot of Infinity Stones all at once.
47 Infinity Stones. Yeah.
Funny enough, if you look, most of them are reality and time stones, which kind of makes sense because they're the things that would probably cause a Nexus event the most easily.
Oh, that's true.
But this scene is basically the MCU telling us that the Infinity Stones are not important anymore. You don't need to worry about them. Right. Like, the Infinity Saga is over. They're paperweights at this point, is what they're telling us, right? Loki's like, is this the greatest power, the TVA? Because it literally, they can control anything that
they
happens.
have Infinity Stones, and they use them as paperweights.
Paperweights. Like, that's how non-important the Infinity Stones are. So, the MCU has been setting up the Infinity Saga for over 20 movies now, and now it's over. What do you think the next big thing is? Because it's clearly not Infinity Stones.
I don't know Marvel well enough to know the answer to that question.
King the Conqueror is seeming like the big one set up right now. I mean, the Judge has connections.
A lot
to
of
Kang.
connections. In fact, she's not a judge in the comics. She works with Kang, so it's a bit confusing as to why she's with the TVA at the moment. That could
explain it. I think Kang is already confirmed to come in Quantumania, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, Kang is the bad guy.
So we're already getting him introduced. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the next big villain. No,
he is the next big villain. So,
and it would work with Fantastic Four as well. So
that's true. Yeah, because I was doing some research. King the Conqueror is actually Nathaniel Richards, which due to time stuff, it's a bit confusing how he's related to Reed Richards, but like it might be his son, might be his great-grandfather.
I'm my own grandpa.
So it's weird, but I think you're right. So you think like the MCU is going to be like a battle of multiverse and like temporal stuff?
No, how it's been set up this whole time, it's
only going to get more confusing.
Yes, of course.
Oh, fun.
And we're already having Black Widow, which takes place in an undisclosed point in time in the MCU. So they're
maybe she's a variant or something.
This is a variant.
Even though this was supposed to come out long before Loki came out, so that's probably not an answer. And then later on, when Loki goes back and finishes watching the tape of his life, we see some words written on the end of the tape in Sharpie. It was like it fizzled through the thing. One thing written on it was ETH-616. This is actually stands for Earth 616,
which is the Earth, the main Earth, right?
The main Earth in the Marvel comics. The MCU actually takes place in Earth 19999.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so they're total. Cool. That's like a multiverse reference there too, because all the research I'm doing on the characters and stuff, it's the characters from 616, right? So it's really cool that they referenced that there, because that's a big deal, because that's where all the stories take place originally.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm. And finally, when the Minutemen respond to another Nexus event, the one where Loki ends up ambushing them again, they find technology and they say it's from the 3rd millennium. Interestingly enough, Kang the Conqueror is from the 31st century, which is in the 3rd millennium. This could be another setup for the character.
Wow.
All right, I want to propose a theory to your guys, and then we'll wrap things up.
Speculate response.
Do you think that some event, either caused by Loki, Wanda, Ant-Man and Wasp, or something else entirely, is going to cause the sacred timeline to split again, like it was before the Timekeepers came around, causing there to be multiple timelines and multiverses? This could be a great setup for the future of the MCU, as it would make sense for the Doctor Strange movie. It would allow for countless new stories. Or could it be the new thing that brings the Avengers together, stopping the timeline from, like, them having to stop the timeline from splitting could be what brings them together, like having to stop Thanos from getting the stones.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Loki's fault. I mean, they kind of have been setting that up this first episode, even with the giant timeline in the middle of the giant, really cool looking city. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that branch out, and then multiverse war starts, and that might be the ending of Loki, and then we get King the Conqueror tease at the end of the series.
And that would explain why we might see villains from other Spider-Mans in the new Spider-Man movie.
I think that this Loki's going to have big things for the MCU.
I think that the timeline's about to get fractured. And it's going to go crazy. And I think it's going to be I think they want to be able to tell lots of different stories, and having a fractured series of timelines allows them to do some crazy things.
They could bring in Iron Man again if they want to.
The What If series could be tied into that.
The What If could be like canon, essentially.
It could. You could bring back a Steve Rogers. You could bring back a Robert Downey or Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, a Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. You could bring in
evil versions of characters.
Scarlett Johansson could come back and play Black Widow in other scenes.
Yep.
You've got crazy moments that allow you to. Mom watching this show, he's like, well, wait a second, but Marvel has always been, this is the timeline. And it was hard for her to see that, no, that timeline is different now because of the way I explained it to her. We literally had to stop the show. And I'm like, dear, Loki messed it all up. The second he picked up the Tesseract, that's the whole point of this show. It's messed up now. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've got to figure out. So I think that the messed up timeline actually allows them to tell lots of different stories. And so I kind of hope that's where they go.
Yeah, it's kind of like what DC did. They came up with a multiverse just as a storytelling tool for writers to be able to tell whatever they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked for the better for them. It
Absolutely.
really has done a lot of things.
Not in the film space, but at least
not yet.
It could be
they need to take advantage of that in more ways than one.
But that could be huge if them bringing the MC or the multiverse into movie form. That's the first time anything like that will ever happen.
Right. Well, it's coming.
Yep.
It is.
So the series is already off to a great start, promising lots of mind-bending fun and plenty of material for guys like us to speculate over. Be sure to tune in next week to see what's in store for Loki. But Nate, I hear your segment this week is no laughing matter.
Why did you criticize me for my dad joke?
Because you set yours up beforehand. Mine were just like
all right.
All right.
Okay. Well, today I will try being the key word to explain the Batman Who Laughs miniseries, at least a part of it. The second part of the Metal Trilogy.
Oh, wait. Now the metal one is
the
that
Joker Dragon stuff?
Yes, this is the second part. This is follow up.
Yeah.
Then we get to Death Metal, which is even weirder than the first Metal.
Like death metal music, kind of?
Yeah, they all had old music videos when the issues came out.
Oh my gosh.
I hope you guys can keep up with all the twists and turns and the craziness that is this series, but enough talking about it. Let's just get to it.
Yeah, that's coming after these ads specifically chosen for you by a computer who has no idea what we actually talk about on this show. This is Tatooine Sons. We talk about One Child every week on this show. We've already talked about it a couple of times with our TeePublic proceeds. If you buy any of our merch on TeePublic, the proceeds go to One Child. If you give us a review on Podchaser, we make a donation on behalf of you or in your honor to help a child in extreme poverty. The reality is there are 400 million kids living in the world today in extreme poverty. That means that they're living on less than $2 a day. Most of them have very little food, if none at all. They don't know if they're going to have a meal that day. They don't have water. They don't have a place to sleep. And most importantly, they don't have hope. They don't have a reason to wake up in the morning and think that life is going to be anything other than this existence. But when you help us out by buying a T-shirt or making giving us a review so we can make a donation in your honor, or even greater than that, sponsoring a child through One Child, you actually provide hope to a child in extreme poverty. You bring hope to hard places. You become a child champion. So if you make the decision to sponsor a child for $39 a month, then we want to show our appreciation by giving you a Child Champion t-shirt. And I promise, we'll get that designed so you guys can see it and put it up on Twitter and Facebook this week. But I want you to check out all the information about it. There's a link in the show notes. Please take a few minutes, to figure out how you can spend about $1.30 a day to change a child's life.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Batman has no limits.
So is there like a shorter name for the Batman Who Laughs? Like that's a lot to
Some
say.
people call him Laughs.
Laughs, okay.
That's his title, is the Batman Who Laughs?
Yeah, that's his name.
Wow.
So I cut out the in this notes, so you're going to be hearing Batman Who Laughs a lot.
Okay.
Let's go. There's a lot of twists and turns in this series. Like, it's constant, so I hope you guys can keep up, but let's just get started. So the story starts with a murder, dun dun, Law and Order. And eventually, Batman finds out that the person who was murdered was Bruce Wayne. Yeah.
All right, so we're already going into multiverse stuff. All right.
Of course, he examines it and figures out that it is an alternate reality Bruce Wayne that lived a happier life than he ever had.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So then we cut over and we see Batman Who Laughs go to Arkham to kill the Joker because in Dark Knight's Metal, Joker killed Batman Who Laughs, or so we thought.
What?
Yeah.
Did we talk about where Batman Who Laughs comes from?
He comes from Earth -22.
All right.
I thought we were on Earth 19999.
No, that's MCU.
Okay.
And Batman Who Laughs is successful.
Where's Earth 616?
That's the main continuity.
That's the main one for Marvel Comics.
Okay.
Anyway.
So Batman Who Laughs is successful. He stabs Joker in the head with a pike and,
That's
he's good. We're good. Joker's dead. Everything's good. But does he die?
No, this is Joker.
It's Joker. And Batman then goes to look for Joker and protect him.
Batman or Batman Who Laughs goes
Batman.
Okay.
Batman Who Laughs is gonna be just, said.
Okay.
Batman then goes to look for Joker and protect him so that he can learn the plan that Batman Who Laughs has for him.
So he's working with Joker now?
Yes. But
the not dead
he doesn't know he's
Joker.
dead. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So are you guys following?
No.
Okay, well,
Just keep going anyway.
He then finds Joker trying to get into the Batcave from the water, so he lets him in because,
Just that's what you do.
Yeah,
It's not like it's a secret base that you're trying to hide from your supervillains.
That's what you do, Okay. Joker then proceeds to shoot himself in the chest next to Batman.
Why?
You'll learn. Batman then realizes that this same thing happened to the Batman Who Laughs and turned him into what he is now.
Oh, crap.
All right, I'm still confused. Let me just stop.
Okay.
Who is the Batman? Is there So he's in the Batcave. There's this Batman. Joker shoots himself. I thought that was the Batman Who Laughs.
No, Batman Who Laughs thought he killed the Joker, and he's off, doing
he's off
does.
taking Gotham by storm.
Okay.
As Joker is dying, he tells Batman that the only way to beat Batman Who Laughs is to become him. And then he dies for the second time within a good old, 5-page span.
Joker's got cat DNA.
Is he dead or... Oh, crap.
Since Batman was exposed to the toxin, he then injects every Joker toxin antidote into his body all at once. But that only stops the transformation for a week. So he orders Alfred to perform emergency surgery on Joker to revive him so that they can use him.
Wait, what?
Okay. Since I know what happens with this choice, I want to ask
Nathan,
you... Yeah, what?
Quick pause. Isn't this like the plot of one of the Arkham games?
No.
Didn't he wasn't he infected by Joker?
Yeah, his infected blood because he had too much Titan serum inside of him, but it's not.
He does. Okay, it doesn't turn him into Batman Who
here, I
Laughs.
should explain this part real quick. When Joker dies, in this continuity, when Joker dies, his heart stops and releases a toxin that turns a person who killed him into the next Joker, so that a Joker mantle will always.
Is that where that 3 Jokers thing came from?
Not quite, but
dang
it. Good effort, it's a great effort.
I feel like I'm back in a class in college I don't know, and I'm trying to sound
When was
smart.
Batman exposed to the toxin?
When Joker shot himself. I just explained that. So Joker had a foolproof plan that whenever Joker dies, his heart releases a toxin to make the person that killed him the next Joker, so that there can always be a Joker alive.
Gotcha.
You got me now? Okay. So
in the immortal words of Emmett from Legos, the Lego movie.
Got it.
All right, I think I got it, but just in case I didn't.
Guys, we haven't even started yet. We're still in the beginning.
Okay.
So since I know what happens with the choice of reviving Joker, I want to ask you guys, do you think this was a smart move on Bruce Wayne's part?
No.
It's Joker.
No. You've been fighting Joker your whole life. He's been a nuisance, but you wouldn't kill him. Now he's dead by his own accord. Leave him that way.
Dad? Are you
I think he's still stuck on toxin.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it all out still.
Explain to me what's going through that little brain.
The little brain.
Ouch. No, well, I didn't mean it like that.
So why does he inject all the toxin in himself? He does to try to avoid.
He injects the antidotes in himself to stop the transformation.
Okay, but that doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't.
So that's why he wants to revive Joker?
He wants to revive Joker so he can ask how to beat Batman Who Laughs and how to get this transformation to stop, because he's the one that came up with it.
Because he's turning into Batman Who Laughs.
Yes.
Okay.
So we see the Batman Who Laughs origin through the eyes of this person, this Batman, and then we also have Batman Who Laughs. So it's kind of a different take on Batman Who Laughs origin. Yeah, that's complicated. We get into it later in the series. Trust me, they don't make it this confusing in the first. It gets so weird in the end.
This is not the weirdest.
And we're not finishing the story by any means this week.
No.
Because this is going to be a 5-part series.
We have the Court of Owls come in at some point.
What?
They're a big part of it too. So I'm gonna move along. And then Batman finds another alternate version of Bruce Wayne.
Oh, you're kidding.
Found and dead in his car. So Batman disguises as Harvey Bullock to meet up with Gordon in secret so that people don't know that Batman's looking at Bruce Wayne and why.
Which one is Harvey Bullock?
He's normally a bad cop.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That cop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they figure out that all these alternate versions have one thing in common. They all have dark matter, which is being extracted from the hearts of each victim by the Batman Who Laughs.
So is that like the dark matter I was talking about earlier today?
I know. When you mentioned dark matter, I'm like, oh, he's going to enjoy the segment I was talking about. No, not even close. The dark matter is a byproduct of something we learn later, which is like one of the big twists. So,
okay.
They also figure out why he is extracting the dark matter. Is the Batman Who Laughs is creating a serum that makes people their darkest selves, and he's using an old GCPD protocol called Last Laugh. Now, the last laugh is where it's a lot like Scarecrow in Batman Begins. It goes into the water supply and it just, aerosols everything, and it allows people to have a better life. But in this case, it'll just, make people's darkest inner thoughts come to life.
Very
no matter
Scarecrow.
What. Very Scarecrow-esque, yes. So it's very complicated.
All right.
Any questions so far?
Yeah, I'm so lost. I don't even know. I think we probably should just stop right now and let me process and listen to this
We need
episode.
to play the Jeopardy theme for a minute.
No, I think we'll let ourselves and probably our listeners take a second to listen to this episode. Maybe go back and listen to it 4 or 5 times, and then we can pick up in this.
And that
week.
was just like the first issue and half of the second issue. That wasn't even much.
How many issues is this?
There's 8 if you include the. Oh wait, I didn't even mention that guy, and he's a big part of this. So we have the Grim Knight, which is another alternate version of Batman who is also bad, but he's like Punisher Batman.
So not like Thomas Wayne Batman?
He uses guns constantly.
So like Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, and we'll learn his origin. I can explain his origin now so we can, not have to go over the issue, which is not really important to the longer story. His origin is he took over Gotham, had automatic snipers put up on every corner. If he saw a crime going on, they would automatically detect it and just off the bad guy. Alfred thought...
So Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like that. The whole Bat family, decided that was too much, and the snipers got them too. And then Alfred was last one. He says, I couldn't see you do this. And you have a beautiful panel shot of Alfred walking out of the Wayne Manor, and then he's just gone. And it doesn't faze Batman at all. So he then got the title of the Grim Knight. And so he's working with the Batman who has to kind of put out his plan of what's going on for this new Gotham. So
is the Batman who laughs a good guy or a bad guy?
Very, very bad.
Very bad.
Very, very,
Why
very
is the
bad.
Grim Knight working with him?
Because he's also very, very bad. And we
Did you
learned...
not just hear the origin of the Grim Knight?
But I felt like there was almost a vigilante.
Oh, no. He kills people to kill people.
Okay.
He's a very bad dude. And we learn why
There's
he's
no
working
justice
with him.
in that.
Okay.
This was like Loki episode 1, a lot of setup. And so, yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
It was for you.
It was a lot of fun.
Hey, I had fun.
It was nice going through the story again. I really love this story. Next week, we're going to be continuing this walkthrough, air quotes, of the Batman Who Laughs miniseries. So join me and all of us for more confusing DC goodness. Trust me, it gets a lot weirder.
Oh, wonderful.
All right, back to you, Dad.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, so Tamara Morrison says the Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett is going to take a deep dive into Boba Fett's backstory.
Now that'll make somebody in this group a little excited.
Mm-hmm. Although I want to see more of the cool armor Boba Fett.
Okay,
So
I'm sure we will.
You'll have flashbacks
Because they also said that it's going to be Mandalorian season 2.5. So
yeah, I've heard that too. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So Aquaman 2 got an official title.
Yay!
Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom.
Boo! I mean, that's like
Doesn't give me much.
Really,
so generic.
we all know that he's from Atlantis. Okay,
I think it's a different Lost
They're
Kingdom.
figuring out a better one.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, and then on a happier note, happy 40th birthday to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yay! Happy birthday!
Tomorrow is the 40th birthday or anniversary of its release. So yeah, we may find some time to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Harrison's old.
He is.
I can't believe he's playing Indiana.
How are they going to have Nazis in Indiana Jones?
I don't
5?
know.
Multiverse.
It has to.
Omniverse.
Yeah,
Omniverse.
I guess that's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for listening to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast.
And if you had a good time listening, please share this with your friends. That would be really cool, and you'd be cool about it.
Be wizard.
Yeah.
Be wizard.
Be rad.
And of course, this show's only a small part of Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to get in on the action. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss our next episode. Remember, again, like I mentioned, and we've mentioned all show, that if you drop us a review on podchaser.com, we're going to make a donation in your honor to one child to help a child living in extreme poverty. And then make sure you join us next week. We're going to give our reactions to episode, it'll be 8 of the Bad Batch.
Yes, sir.
Sam will give us another rundown of Loki, episode 2. And BB Nate, you're going to keep talking about the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
And laugh at us while you do it.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you're in South Alabama, please stop by Fish River Grill in Foley on Tuesday or in Fairhope by the Bay on Wednesday for some pop culture trivia. That I will host, and hopefully we'll have a really good time.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.